Welcome to the Glowing Voice on Fire podcast. I'm Frankie Lopez, your host for this God-inspired message. Dust clings to your palms as you stand where something used to be, wood splintered, drywall crushed, the air still tasting like grit. The quiet feels loud, like it's waiting for you to admit what collapsed. You didn't plan to be here, staring at what's left of a home. A promise, a life you thought would hold. That's what a broken marriage can feel like, a covenant reduced to rubble with sharp edges you keep brushing against. You want to fix it, explain it, sweep it up fast, but the wreck won't rush. And in that raw place, redeeming love doesn't wait for you to make things pretty. It rises from within the mess you can't hide. This is the kind of hope Lamentations 3:22-23 whispers into morning light. Mercy that shows up again, even when yesterday was ash. It also holds the hard words of Matthew 5:31-32, where Jesus honors marriage with clarity, not softness, and still calls you toward truth instead of denial. You'll walk a single thread of story through ruined places God didn't avoid. You'll see Ezekiel's picture of a girl left exposed and helpless, then washed, clothed, and claimed in covenant, only to run after other lovers and still be pursued. You'll hear Hosea's sandals on the street as he goes after Gomer, love with its sleeves rolled up, buying back what betrayal tried to sell off. You'll feel Ruth's hunger and courage in a foreign field, and Boaz's steady kindness that turns scraps into shelter and a broken life into a future. Some losses don't arrive quietly. They crash. They leave dust in your throat and a ringing in your ears like the house of your life shifted off its foundation in the night. You can still hear it when you try to sleep. That small, sickening crack that became a collapse. A broken marriage doesn't just end something, it rearranges everything. It changes how you walk through a grocery store aisle, how you hear a song, how you handle silence. You keep looking for the place where it all went wrong, as if you could rewind one sentence, one night, one choice. But the heart doesn't heal like drywall. The ache has meaning, and it has weight. This is part of why Scripture feels so honest when it talks about covenant, and why Jesus' words in Matthew 5:31-32 land with such gravity. Marriage matters, and that's why the breaking hurts. And still, mercy meets you in the morning like Lamentations 3:22-23 says it does, not because the rubble is beautiful, but because God does not turn away from ruin. It hits you in pieces. At first it is shock, the numb kind. You move through days as if you are watching someone else's life. You answer texts, you fold towels, you stare at a sink full of dishes and forget why you walked into the room. Your body keeps going, but your mind keeps tripping over the moment everything changed. Then regret shows up with a flashlight. It searches your memory like a thief, not to steal, but to accuse. You replay old conversations and hear new tones you missed before. You remember a look across a table, a door that closed too hard, a hand that didn't reach back. Those memories don't feel soft. They feel like sharp stones under your feet. And somehow, you keep stepping on them. Anger comes next, hot and sudden, then cold and slow. Some days it points outward, some days it turns inward. You can be furious at what happened and still miss the person at the center of it. You can hate the damage and still ache for what used to be true. That mix makes you feel split in two. And then there is the empty space, the hardest layer to name. It sits down beside you in the evenings. It climbs into bed. It waits in the passenger seat. It is the missing weight of a shared life, the quiet where someone else used to breathe. Even faith can feel tender here, because you want God to explain why love can be so real and still break. Grief doesn't walk in a straight line. It comes in waves, and you never know which memory will rise like undertow. A smell, a holiday, a show you used to watch together. The heart keeps reaching for what it lost, and it hurts because your love wasn't pretend. It was a home you lived in, and now you're standing where the living room used to be. There is a particular kind of pain when you realize you were not only a victim of collapse, you were also, in some way, a builder of it. It might not be the whole story. It rarely is. Still, you remember moments that felt small at the time. A lie you called harmless. A pattern you excused because you were tired. Words you used as weapons because you felt cornered. You told yourself it was one brick, just one. No one would notice. You could pull it out and put it back later, but walls don't always warn you before they fall. Conviction stings because it is honest. Not cruel, just bright. Like morning light you didn't want yet. And the enemy loves to twist that sting into shame to make you feel like you are nothing but your worst moment. Yet God's voice doesn't crush you for sport. His voice tells the truth and still holds out a hand. You see this tension in the way Scripture tells the stories of broken covenant. In Ezekiel 16, the picture is not polite. It is raw and exposed. A girl is found unwanted and unwashed, left where no one would stop. God passes by, sees her kicking in her blood, and speaks life over her. He washes her, anoints her, clothes her, places a crown on her head. It is tenderness with detail, love that stoops down and does not flinch. Then she turns. She takes the gifts and spends them elsewhere. She chases other loves and calls them freedom. The story does not pretend that betrayal is minor. It names it. You can almost hear the jewelry clink as it is offered to someone who did not earn it. If you have ever stared at your own choices and felt your stomach drop, you understand that moment. You are not asked to pretend you were fine. You are also not asked to bleed forever. There is a kind of humility that doesn't perform. It simply agrees with the truth. There is a confession that is less like groveling and more like coming out of hiding. You will return to those themes later because they matter. But for now, you can sit with this. Love can be real, and your failures can be real, and God can still be the one who speaks life into a ruined place. Sometimes the collapse wasn't triggered by your hand at all, or not in the way people like to assume. Sometimes you were doing your best to hold the beams, and someone else swung the hammer like it was a weapon. Being sinned against does something specific to you. It doesn't only hurt your feelings, it changes your sense of safety. Trust is not a light switch. It is a shelter you build over time with repeated truth, with kept promises, with steady kindness. When someone betrays you, it can feel like that shelter caves in all at once. You are left standing in weather you did not choose. The pain has a lonely edge because betrayal isolates. It makes you question your own instincts. You scan the past for signs you missed, and that search can make you feel foolish, even if you weren't. It can make you suspicious of future joy, as if hope is a trap. The body keeps score too. You feel it in your chest, in your jaw, in the way you flinch at certain words. This is where the story of Hosea can feel almost too heavy to hold. God tells a prophet to marry into heartbreak, and Hosea's home becomes a lived parable. Gomer runs toward other lovers, not once, but again and again. The text does not tidy her choices. it also doesn't treat Hosea's hurt as fake. You can picture him watching the road, hearing footsteps that are not hers, feeling that hollow drop when night comes and she still isn't home. And then, in one of the most wrenching pictures of love in Scripture, he goes after her. Not to pretend it didn't happen, not to call evil good, but to bring her back from the place she sold herself into. Love that pursues the unfaithful is not sentimental. It is costly. It is clear-eyed. It tells the truth about what was done and still refuses to let ruin have the final word. Your story may not match Hosea's details. Not every broken marriage is broken in the same way. Some rubble comes from betrayal, some from addiction, some from cruelty behind closed doors, some from long years of neglect that dried love out like a creek in August. The shape of the harm matters, and the weight you carry is real. If rubble was dropped on you, your pain is not an overreaction. It is the normal response to something that should have been safe and wasn't. And even here, where trust feels impossible and your heart feels exposed, God's mercy still shows up in morning light. Not to minimize what happened, but to keep you from being buried alive under it. You can picture the scene Jeremiah lived in because it doesn't feel far away. A city cracked open, doors burned, songs gone quiet. The kind of ruin that makes your throat tighten because there's nothing to dress up. Lamentations is not a polite book. It's the sound of faith scraping against stone. When your marriage feels like that, you don't need pretty words. You need a place where truth can breathe, where you can sit down in the dust and still not be alone. Jeremiah shows you how hope can start small, not as a sudden win, but as a steady return to God when everything looks unfinished. You sit on a cracked step with your back against what's left of the wall. The air feels thin, like it takes work to breathe. You don't have a neat prayer. You have a heavy chest, sore eyes, and that quiet fear that if you speak, you'll fall apart. Biblical lament gives you permission to be honest with God. Not about what you think you should feel, but about what you feel. Jeremiah doesn't hide the wreckage. He names it. He says out loud that his soul is downcast, that the pain has teeth, that the days feel bitter. He doesn't get scolded for saying it. His words become scripture. This is where you learn the difference between denial and faith. Denial pretends the house didn't burn. Faith stands in the ash and still turns its face upward. Sometimes lament sounds like tears you can't stop. Sometimes it is silence because words won't come. Sometimes it's a whisper that barely makes it past your lips. God, I'm here and I don't know what to do. You're not performing. You're not trying to impress anyone. You are simply refusing to disappear. Jesus honors truth like this. In Matthew 5:31-32, he speaks about divorce with a steadiness that doesn't wink at sin, or treat marriage like paper you can tear and toss. His words don't flatter you, but they do protect what's holy. That same Jesus also welcomes the crushed and the weary. He doesn't ask you to pretend you're fine before you come close. He meets you in the honest place. So you tell the truth. You don't tidy it. You don't rush it. You let God hear what happened, what you did, what was done to you, what you fear, and what you still want. And somehow, even on a broken step, looking up becomes possible again. Morning comes even when you didn't sleep. Light slips in the way it does after a hard night, slow, almost careful. In Jeremiah's ruined city, the sunrise doesn't fix the walls. It just shows you what's there. Stones, smoke stains, a street that used to be crowded. And then this line rises from the rubble like a thin stream of clean water. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Lamentations 3:22-23. New every morning means mercy is not a prize for the strong. It is bread for the weak. Think of dew on cold stones, clear drops you didn't place there. Think of sunlight sliding through smoke, not loud, not flashy, just steady. Mercy shows up like that. Quiet, certain, not asking your permission, not waiting for you to pull yourself together. You may feel unstable right now. Your emotions shift fast. One text can drop you into grief. One memory can make you shake. One small kindness can make you cry in a parking lot. You might not trust your own heart. You might not trust your own judgment. You might not even trust your next sentence. God's character doesn't wobble with you. His love does not run on your mood. His compassion does not shut off because you had a hard day, or because you feel angry, or because you can't see the next step. The new in new every morning is not about you reinventing yourself overnight. It's about God being who He has always been, faithful and true from within the rubble of life. That is why this hope can hold your weight. It isn't built on your energy. It isn't built on your willpower. It isn't built on whether you feel brave today. Mercy comes first. It meets you while your hands still shake, while your voice still breaks, while the city is still in pieces. And you start to learn something tender and true. You can wake up wrecked and still be met. There's a part in Lamentations where the tone shifts, not because the pain is gone, but because Jeremiah chooses a direction. He says, "But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope." He doesn't call to mind a fixed city. He calls to mind a faithful God. That's where your hope starts too. Not in the future version of your life where everything is clean and calm. Not in the version of your marriage where every hard thing is resolved. Hope begins where your feet are planted, even if they are planted in grit. You are still in the middle of the mess. The story is still tense. The phone still feels heavy in your hand. The silence in the house still has edges. You still remember words that can't be taken back. You still wonder what you're supposed to do with love that hurts. And yet, right there, you can notice small signs of life. A bird calling from a broken beam. A bright red flower with a vibrant green stem growing out from within debris. A neighbor sweeping a porch. A child laughing for 10 seconds like the world didn't end. The way your lungs fill and empty even when you didn't ask them to. The fact that you are still here, still reaching for God, still refusing to let darkness be the only voice. This is not you pretending. It is you paying attention. It is you saying, "I won't lie about the ruin, but I won't lie about God either." Jesus spoke this way when He talked about seeds, tiny things pressed into soil. You don't see much at first, but life is already working underground. You can't force it and you can't rush it. You can only show up day after day and trust that God can grow something real in a place that looks done. Hope doesn't have to be loud to be strong. Sometimes it is as small as a breath prayer. Sometimes it is as small as turning your face toward the window when morning comes. Sometimes it is simply this. You decide to believe that mercy can find you again right where you stand. Ezekiel 16 is not a tidy story, it is a close-up. It shows love with dirt under its nails, love that starts where you are found, not where you wish you were. If your marriage has left you feeling unwanted, used up, or set aside, this chapter does not look away from that kind of pain. It also does not let ruin be the last word. You watch God move first. You watch Him name what is real. You watch Him cover what is exposed. And you begin to see what redeeming love looks like when you are standing in rubble, wondering if you still have a name worth speaking. The scene begins low to the ground, a baby, left out and still marked by blood, not cleaned, not wrapped, not wanted. No hands reach in, no voice calls her beautiful. She is the kind of life people step around. Then God passes by, not with distance, not with disgust, but with eyes that stop. The text says He sees her kicking in her blood. That detail matters because it means there is still fight in her, even if no one honors it. And right there, in the place where you would expect silence, God speaks one word like a command and a gift: live. You can feel the weight of that word if you have ever been emotionally left somewhere. Maybe you were the faithful one and still got treated like an option. Maybe the house stayed standing but affection dried up, and your heart felt like a room no one enters. Maybe you have been working so hard to look okay that you forgot what it felt like to be seen. In Ezekiel's picture, God does not wait for the child to crawl toward Him. He bends low. He moves toward what is helpless. He covers her nakedness the way someone throws a coat around shaking shoulders. He lifts her from the ground where she was left to become a warning to herself. This is what it's like when mercy arrives before you can explain yourself. Lamentations 3:22-23 says, His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. In Ezekiel 16, you see that mercy in motion, not floating above the mess, but kneeling in it. You are not loved because you cleaned up. You are cleaned up because you are loved. As the girl grows, the story slows down and becomes tender with detail. God washes her with water. He rubs oil into her skin. He clothes her with embroidered cloth and fine leather. He wraps her in linen. He places bracelets on her wrists and a necklace around her neck. He crowns her. It is the language of care, and it is also the language of belonging. This is not a casual kindness that fades when feelings change. This is covenant. A covenant is a vow spoken with the intent to stay. It is love that takes responsibility. In Ezekiel 16, God says, I pledged myself to you and entered into a covenant with you, and you became mine. You do not miss the personal note. Not, you became improved. Not, you became useful. But you became mine. That word can land in you with both comfort and ache, because marriage was meant to echo something like that. Jesus treats marriage with that same seriousness when He speaks in Matthew 5:31-32. He does not talk about vows like they are thin paper. He speaks as if promises have weight, because they do. If you have lived through divorce, threat of divorce, or betrayal, you already know vows cost something. They cost pride. They cost the right to run when it gets hard. They cost the steady choice to protect what you could easily harm. Ezekiel's picture shows you a God who covers first. He does not stand back with crossed arms waiting to see if you will be worth it. He invests. He provides. He honors. He makes a home where there was none. If you feel like your marriage has trained you to think love is just a mood, this story resets your vision. Covenant love does not deny emotions. It just refuses to be ruled by them. It is love that says, "You are not disposable to me." And once you see that, you start to understand why faithfulness matters, not as a weapon, but as a form of shelter. Then the story turns, and it hurts because it is honest. The one who was rescued forgets the rescue. She trusts her beauty as if she made it. She takes the gifts, the jewelry, the fine clothes, and offers them to other lovers. The chapter uses strong words because betrayal is not small. It is not framed as a simple mistake. It is shown as a heartbreaking exchange, the turning of a face that once looked into merciful eyes. If you have been unfaithful, you know that sick feeling when you see what you risked. If you have been betrayed, you know the other side of it, the shock of realizing you were not guarded. Either way, the wound is real. Ezekiel 16 does not cover it with soft talk. It names sin like a surgeon names a tumor, not to shame you, but to save what can still be saved. And then comes the shock of grace. God's heart is not cold toward betrayal. His words carry grief, yet his aim is not public humiliation as entertainment. His aim is restoration that tells the truth. He says he will remember his covenant. That line stands out because it means the relationship is not carried by the faithfulness of the unfaithful. It is carried by the faithfulness of God. That does not make sin harmless. It makes redemption possible. You see the same shape in the New Testament, where Jesus meets the exposed and does not flinch. He does not call darkness light, but he also does not leave you to rot in what you did or what was done to you. He brings things into the open so healing can start. He speaks with a steadiness that honors marriage, and with a tenderness that honors the bruised. Ezekiel 16 leaves you with a holy kind of hope. God does not rescue you just to scold you forever. He restores so you can be his, clean and covered, with your story no longer ruled by the worst chapter. If your marriage has been rubble, you can still be met in it. Redemption names what broke, then begins to build again. You don't meet Hosea and Gomer in a clean room with soft lighting. You meet them in public, where gossip travels faster than truth, and where a marriage can become a mirror held up to a whole nation. Hosea is a prophet, a man who speaks for God, and his home becomes part of the message. Gomer is not a symbol first. She is a person first, with a body, a history, and choices that leave bruises on everyone nearby. If you've ever loved someone who kept slipping through your hands, this story doesn't feel distant. It feels like footsteps on a street at night, like waiting by a window with your stomach in knots. It is love that stays awake. It is love that gets embarrassed. It is love that keeps bleeding and still moves toward the one who ran. Hosea's faithfulness isn't the pretty kind you put on a card. It's the kind that costs him his name. You can picture him standing at the edge of his own doorway, listening for sounds that don't come, a latch that doesn't lift, a voice that doesn't answer. The oil lamp burns low and the hours stretch thin. When Gomer leaves, she doesn't only leave a house, she leaves a hollow space behind her, like a missing rib. The story in Hosea doesn't treat betrayal as an accident. It has direction. It has momentum. It pulls her toward other lovers, toward other beds, toward other promises that sound warm for a moment and then go cold. Hosea watches what it does to her, and it does something to him too. Not just heartbreak, but humiliation. In a small town, everyone has an opinion. You feel it in the way faces turn when you walk past. You hear it in the pauses mid-sentence. You learn what it's like to carry private grief under public eyes. And still, Hosea stays. Not numb, not unaware, not pretending it didn't happen. He stays with his heart open, which is the most expensive way to stay. This is the ache you can't explain to people who think love is only real when it's easy. Faithfulness feels like holding a cracked cup with both hands, trying not to spill what's left, even as you get cut on the edges. It's not that you enjoy the pain, it's that covenant means something, and you can't unmean it just because you're hurting. Somewhere underneath Hosea's personal grief is God's grief, the kind Ezekiel 16 already showed you. Love that washed and clothed and crowned, then got repaid with turned shoulders and open hands to strangers. Hosea lives that same sharp picture, not as a lesson on a page, but as pain in his chest. And if you've been faithful while love wasn't returned, you already know the sound of that kind of quiet, the kind that makes your prayers come out like cracked whispers. Hosea 3 shifts the scene, and it feels like the camera moves from a home into the street. God speaks again, plain and piercing. Go again, love a woman who is loved by another man and is an adulteress. Hosea 3:1. The word again lands like weight. Again means this is not the first time. Again means the wound has history. So Hosea goes. You can imagine where he has to walk, past familiar corners, past places he avoided because they carried her shadow, into areas where respectable men don't like to be seen. He keeps going anyway, because love that redeems does not wait in safe places. Then the moment comes that is almost unbearable in its plainness. A price is named. A transaction happens. Hosea says it without poetry. So I bought her back for 15 pieces of silver and 5 bushels of barley and a measure of wine. Hosea 3:2. Silver in his hand, grain measured out, goods counted like you count out the cost of a loss you never wanted. It's hard not to picture the scene with stunned silence, the kind that hangs in the air when people realize what they're watching. The kind where no one knows what to say because it's too raw to comment on. Maybe there are men nearby who think they own her. Maybe there are women nearby who think they understand her. Maybe Gomer stands there with eyes that won't lift. Not because she's shy, but because shame trains you to look at the ground. And Hosea pays anyway. This is where the gospel echo gets loud without needing to shout. You hear it in the simple fact of being bought back. Not because she earned it. Not because she proved she'd never run again. But because love chose to step into a place of sale and call her his. You can't read that and not think about what Peter later says. That you were redeemed. Not with perishable things such as silver or gold, but at a cost deeper than currency. You can't watch Hosea count out silver without remembering that Jesus also walked into the places we hid, not to bargain, but to rescue. And if marriage feels like rubble to you right now, this part of the story names something you may be afraid to say out loud. Redemption is not free. Someone pays, someone absorbs the loss. Someone steps forward and says, I'll take the cost on myself. Hosea doesn't buy Gomer back and pretend nothing happened. He brings her home, and the next words are firm, not harsh. You must dwell as mine for many days. Hosea 3:3. It reads like a doorway, not a prison, a new order, a protected space, a slow rebuild. You can feel the kindness inside the boundary. This is not punishment that enjoys power. This is safety that understands damage. Betrayal leaves patterns behind, and patterns don't disappear because someone feels sorry. Trust is not glued back together in one night. It cures like a wound closing from the inside out. So home becomes a place where time matters. Many days. Not one speech, not one apology, not one emotional moment that promises everything will be different by morning. Many days means meals, mornings, evenings, and ordinary hours where nothing dramatic happens. And that is the point. Healing often looks like quiet faithfulness repeated until it becomes believable. If you've ever been rescued from your own wreckage, you know how strange a calm room can feel. Chaos trains your body to stay alert. Peace can feel unsafe at first. Gomer has to learn how to live without chasing, without performing, without bargaining for love. Hosea has to live without controlling, without exploding, without keeping score as a form of protection. And God is present in the middle of that learning, patient in a way humans rarely are. You've already heard Jeremiah whisper that mercy comes in the mornings. This is what those mornings look like when mercy takes on furniture and walls and routines. You wake up and the rescue is still true. You wake up and there is bread for today, not a whole future handed to you at once. The house doesn't erase the past, but it does offer a different next step. And if Jesus' teaching about divorce in Matthew 5:31-32 has ever felt heavy in your hands, this part of Hosea helps you see why Jesus speaks with such seriousness about covenant. Not because God is eager to trap you, but because God is eager to protect love from being treated like trash. Hosea's home becomes a testimony that real love does not call evil good. It calls the beloved back, then builds a safer life slowly, with truth in the air and patience in the room. In the aftermath, redemption doesn't rush you. It sits with you. It keeps the light on. It says in 1,000 small ways, you're not being sold anymore. You're home. Ruth's story meets you when you're not looking for a grand turnaround. It meets you when you're hungry, tired, and trying to figure out what comes after the thing that broke. It's not a story of quick fixes. It's a story of ordinary steps, taken in a place that doesn't feel like home yet. After the rubble, you don't always need a big speech. You need bread, you need shade, you need one safe day, then another. Ruth and Boaz show you what redeeming love can look like when life has been stripped down to survival, and God begins to rebuild through steady kindness. You can picture Ruth walking out early when the light is still thin. The air holds that cool bite that makes your hands ache. She doesn't stride in like a hero. She steps into a field as a widow and a foreigner with no claim except need. In Israel, gleaning was a mercy God built into the harvest so the poor could gather what fell, but it still took courage to show up and bend low all day. That's what faithfulness can look like when your marriage has left you drained. You don't feel brave. You feel blank. But you still put your feet on the ground and you still do the next right thing. Ruth doesn't announce her pain. She carries it quietly. She listens to Naomi even when Naomi's grief comes out sharp and hopeless. She keeps moving anyway. You may be tempted to believe that numb means you've failed. Ruth shows you something gentler. Numb can be your body's way of surviving. You can be faithful without feeling much at all. You can keep your word, keep showing up, keep your hands open to whatever small mercy God puts in reach. Her faithfulness has a steady rhythm to it. Bend down. Gather a stalk. stand up, breathe, repeat. The work is humble and so is healing. It's less like fireworks and more like laying one brick on another. And while Ruth is stooping in the dust, God is already writing quiet mercy into her day, the kind Jeremiah learned to notice in ruins. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Lamentations 3:22-23. New every morning doesn't mean you wake up fixed. It means you wake up met. You don't have to understand the whole road ahead. You can take the next small step, the one that keeps you honest and alive. Boaz enters the story without swagger. He shows up to his fields and greets his workers like people, not tools. He notices what others might ignore, a young widow working the edges, trying not to be seen too much. And when he learns who she is, he doesn't use that knowledge to take. He uses it to cover. You can feel the difference between predatory power and protective strength. Predatory power watches for weakness like it's an opening. It corners. It hints. It takes what it wants and calls it normal. Protective strength does the opposite. It makes space. It sets boundaries. It says to the vulnerable, "You're safe here." Boaz tells Ruth to stay in his field, close to his female workers, where she won't be harassed. He speaks directly to his young men, not as a suggestion, but as an order, telling them not to touch her. Then he does something small that feels huge when you've been living exposed. He tells her to drink from the water jars drawn for the workers. Water is not romance. It's kindness that understands bodies get tired. It's dignity that doesn't make you beg. You can see Ruth pause in the shade, cup in hand, catching her breath. The sun is high now, heat pressing down, her back tight from bending. That water tastes like being treated as a person again. Boaz feeds her too, inviting her to eat with the workers and passing her roasted grain until she's full. Full. Not just surviving, but filled. Then his protection gets even more practical. He quietly instructs his men to pull out extra stalks and leave them for her on purpose. Mercy placed right in her path so she can gather without shame. It's steady kindness with sleeves rolled up. This is what a redeemer does. A redeemer doesn't ask you to prove you're worthy of care. A redeemer protects your name while you're still shaky. It echoes the heart of God you've already seen in Ezekiel 16, the God who covers nakedness and calls the exposed his own, not to humiliate, but to restore. And it hints at Jesus, who never treated the vulnerable as disposable, who honored covenant with clear words in Matthew 5:31-32, and still drew near to the bruised. When you've known the pain of being handled carelessly, Boaz's steadiness lands like a warm blanket. It tells you love can be strong without being sharp. Ruth doesn't start her story with a wedding. She starts it with funerals, a long road, and an empty house in Bethlehem. Naomi returns with arms that used to hold sons, now holding only grief. Ruth arrives with nothing she can point to as proof that choosing love was worth it. And yet God is not only feeding them, He's building a future through them. Boaz becomes a kinsman redeemer, a man willing to take responsibility, to carry a cost so a broken line isn't erased. The legal details matter because they show redemption is not wishful thinking. It's concrete. It's public. It involves names, inheritance, protection, and provision. It turns left behind into belonging. The tenderness of this story is that it doesn't erase the losses that came before. Ruth still lost a husband. Naomi still buried her sons. The ache doesn't vanish like it never happened. Redemption works differently. It weaves grief into something that can still grow. Ruth and Boaz marry. A child is born, and the women of Bethlehem speak blessing over Naomi like sunrise after a long winter. The empty lap is filled. The bitter mouth has laughter again. The story that looked like an ending becomes a beginning. Then Scripture pulls back the curtain a little wider and shows you what God was doing all along. Ruth, the outsider who gathered scraps in a field, becomes the great-grandmother of David, and from David's line comes Jesus. That road is simple enough to hold in your hands. God takes a Moabite widow and places her inside the family line of a king, then places her inside the family line that leads to the Savior. He writes new family lines out of old losses, not because the losses were small, but because His mercy is steady. If you can only see the rubble of your marriage right now, Ruth offers you a different picture to live with. God can stitch your torn chapters into a future you can't imagine. Not all at once, but with small, tender mercies that show up every morning. Until you look back and realize you were never abandoned in the middle of the story. In conclusion, you're still standing where something collapsed, dust on your hands, sharp edges underfoot. But morning light has found its way in again. Jeremiah's words keep the beat of your breathing. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. And you start to see that redeeming love from within the rubble does not wait for everything to look whole. Covenant still matters. Jesus says so, with sober clarity in Matthew 5:31-32. That weight makes the wreckage feel real, not brushed aside. Yet the same God who said live and covered the exposed in Ezekiel's story, who sent Hosea down the street to buy back what betrayal tried to claim, and who met Ruth in a field with Boaz's steady kindness, is still writing mercy into ruined places. You've walked through Scripture not as a bystander, but as someone gasping for breath, and you found a God who kneels in the rubble with you. He calls you beloved when you feel lost, redeemed when you feel ruined, and held when you feel hollow. And slowly, you've seen that brokenness isn't the end of your story. It's the soil where new life begins. So, as you close this page, remember you carry promise, not just pain. God restores what others discard. He rebuilds what falls apart. And He keeps writing redemption into places you thought were finished. You are never alone in the rubble of life. God will carry you into what comes next. Thank you for listening to the Glowing Voice on Fire podcast. If this episode touched your spirit, share it with someone. Be sure to follow the podcast so you'll know when the next story is available. Visit glowingvoiceonfire.com